First of all, we found out that in about 1905, a brother and a sister lived here, and they were the ones the house was built for. And their sister was married to a banker who built the house next door.
Okay.
And when they moved in, he was not in good health, and he died, and his funeral was held at the other house. And so that original ownership wasn't very long, because it was too much house, I assume, for just the one left over. So they sold it. I think it was the next owner, it might not be, but the next owner also owned the rights to VH which they sold to Campbell's.
Oh, really?
And one of the owners, I think, also owned a partial stock or a part of the Prairie House, you know, the old hotel before the one they tore down, Terre Haute House. Yeah. So we've learned a few things over the years. Even learned from the Dalbys that there was a neighbor across the street and a little down that they could hear crying at night because she was just so depressed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and apparently they walked down the street and they'd hear this, like, and it wasn't loud, I'm sure, but enough to hear from the sidewalk. So it was interesting, these little stories. The Dalbys also told us that when he was a kid, like 10, 11 years old, they used to go into the basement and shoot guns from one end of the basement to the other end of the brick wall.
Really?
Yeah. And that they have an old radio that they put together, which there's
Put it in the
remnants
wall.
of.
Put it in the wall.
Put
up
it in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And that they
That one.
sign their name on some things, like an old door and ductwork or something. And we found that too.
Really?
And the other thing we found out is that the Mrs. Dalby did not like guns, and after her husband passed away, she had a hole dug a little deeper in the basement. When they went to concrete it over, she threw everything into the hole, and they concreted the guns right into it. And we found there's a part of the concrete that popped off that shows this shiny little round barrel. And so that was interesting. And the other thing the Dalbys told us, and I've forgotten his first name.
Don.
Yeah.
Don and Lois.
So Don told me he, as a kid, you would go up to the third floor and climb out onto the windows and throw snowballs at cars as they passed by.
Oh, I can't believe it. No,
They might can tell you some of those.
Yeah.
That's
threw
a
rocks.
scary route to be on.
No, we had, Greg had water balloons, and when trick-or-treaters would come up, he and his friends,
Oh my
he had
goodness.
the small room right above the front porch, and they'd sit out on that porch and throw water balloons at the kids coming
At the
trick-or-treat.
trick-or-treaters. That's our only brother.
Tiny horror house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I worked with a guy for a while by the last name Fisk. And he said that he used to come here to play all the time.
Fisk, Sarah Fisk, and I remember two of the girls.
And Mark,
Mark
I
Fisk.
think he's got twins now, but he works at Terre Haute, Lamson and Fisk. I'm an engineer. He hired me at one point, but his area.
Who do you work with?